Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Danielle, aka Stitcherista here on YouTube, and today is Monday, October 3rd. I'm off work today. I'm working the rest of the week. And yeah, yesterday was a pretty relaxing day. We went to the grocery store in the morning and then came home and I made up a meatloaf for dinner. My stepdaughter and her boyfriend came over. We watched a football game. And, you know, Sunday has started to become a day where, like, when he's watching football, I'll play Candy Crush on my iPad. I'll read some of my book, which the book I'm reading, The Silent Woman by Minka Kent, is pretty good. I'm a little more than halfway through it. And I look on Etsy for patterns I like, and man, I don't know about you, but I have like 70 things in my cart for Etsy. What's awesome about Etsy is that you can put things in your cart indefinitely, unless they become unavailable due to something the store owner has decided to pull the pattern or whatever. But yeah, I went through and just added all kinds of things to cart so I can go back and look later. Really, really neat patterns and some really cool designers that are out there. And last night I stitched, and you know, I'll admit I'm struggling today. I get up and I even looked this up online just now before I started filming this video. Like literally when you're just tired of everything, like you're tired of emptying the dishwasher and doing laundry and just the same things that you do day in and day out. And I think I need to read some of my Bible because I didn't read it at all last week, and I was in the habit of doing it every day. So I think I'm going to get a cup of coffee when I'm done filming this and sit down and just take 10 minutes, even if it's just 10 minutes. And I don't know, I've just become tired of myself. It's hard to put into words, but it's like, okay, how do I snap out of that? Because I'm very blessed in my life when I really stop and think about it. And so maybe that's what I need to do, right? Just stop and literally grab my journal and write down 5 things that I'm grateful for. Something as simple as that. Like Bill forwarded me an email that he got from work. You know, every year they have open enrollment for health insurance, and we normally do not change our options. But he sent that to me, and you know what? I just felt weary because I'm the one that deals with stuff like that. So I'll have to go in when he gets home from work today. We're going to sit down because basically you have to go in there either way and just select whether you keep the same designations that you have or you make changes. And you have until October 31st. I just like to get that stuff done. But yeah, do you guys ever feel like that? I'm sure we all feel like that from time to time. What do you do to combat it? You know, Joyce Meyer wrote a book called Battlefield of the Mind, and it truly, everything starts with our brain, with the way that we think and our perspective on things. And I don't know. Today I'm struggling. And you know, when I looked online under the article, I literally put in Google what to do when you're just tired of everything. And one of the articles that came up said, just sit there and recognize that you're doing the best you can right now. Yeah. So, good thoughts, right? Good thoughts. So, I did stitch last night. Now, one source of frustration last night was because I was off this whole week, I watched a lot of stuff. And I spent 45 minutes last night when I sat down to stitch. I spent 45 minutes trying to find something to watch. I don't want to keep watching stuff that I've seen before. Like, I have plenty of movies that I own on Amazon. I don't want to keep watching stuff that I've seen. So I wound up watching something I've seen though, eventually, because I said, if I just keep going, and you would think with all of the apps I have, you know, Paramount Plus, Peacock, Hulu, Amazon, Netflix, I could have found something I hadn't seen, right? Or that I wanted to watch. And so in times like that, what I probably should have done is just put on a podcast or maybe a YouTube video and just let it play and just stitch for 10 minutes and went to bed. Because sometimes I think it's not giving up, but you have to realize that you're not making any headway in that moment. Instead of becoming frustrated, I should have just realized, okay, tonight's not the night for me to find something to watch. There's a time and a place for everything. So if I realized that, instead of becoming frustrated, I could have just probably gotten over that. I also think it's the realm of, we have so much to choose from that you have like choice fatigue. Do you know what I mean? But I did stitch last night. Now, I also stitched on Saturday because Bill was gone from 1 o'clock until 6 o'clock on Saturday. I finished the moon. Yes, indeedy. I think it looks pretty good. So there's my moon. And then I started on the tree branches yesterday and I stitched this one last night because there's like 3 other branches that are up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to inch up and I'm going to get all of the branches done before I come down to do the tree trunk. And then there's a fence down there. And it's going to take me a minute to get that done for sure. I am using blended thread for the tree. I'm using the colors that she suggested were 4 different colors. 301, 303, 938, 801, and 434. So I decided to just use 2 colors because nobody has time to be putting 4 colors. That would be 4 strands anyway. I'm using 801 and 434. Now, I did a search. Every once in a while, I'll do a search in YouTube that says how to make your cross stitching look more neat, because even though I've been stitching for almost 40 years, I don't know everything. I don't. People are always coming up with new techniques and things to how to do stuff. And I haven't tried this yet because I just watched the video this morning. This woman was doing a video on how to make your stitching as neat as possible on the front and back. Now, I will admit, I think my back looks pretty neat, right? But hers, she was stitching an Afghan. And when you do an Afghan where you're going to see the back of it, you know, unless you put a quilt backing or something on it, you're going to see the back of it. And her stitching almost, I mean, it looked pretty perfect on the back. Instead of ending, you know how when you end your threads, like what I will do is I will run it under a couple threads in the back. Instead of doing that, what she did is she brought the thread back up to the front and she ran it up, like either up a couple stitches or she ran it this way. And then she cut it really, really close to the piece. And you couldn't tell. And I'm like, I may have to, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it when I sit down to stitch the tree. Because it looked cool. It was something different that I've never seen. Now, one thing that I could not believe, and again, trying to reserve judgment on people, but when she went to cut her thread, she cut it with like a pair of scissors that look like this. What? Why are you fucking using scissors that look like this to trim needlework threads? Way down to the, you know, right up to your fabric or your paper or whatever. This isn't going to cut it. It's not. And this brings to mind a little story. And I know if you guys have watched my channel, you've probably heard this story before. I'm going to flip you around real quick and I'm going to show you the piece I'm talking about. See that piece up there? I had finished that piece, okay? That is Little House Needleworks, I want to say Bluebird sampler. And when I was driving to the stitching post to have it framed, I was at a red light and I glanced and I realized I had missed like 3 white stitches on the border. And I was like, fuck me, right? So I stopped at Michael's, bought a skein of white because I wasn't driving. I was far enough away that I wasn't going to drive back home. So I bought a skein of white and a needle and completed the stitches. Well, now I need to cut the thread because I have a thread, Leo, it's this long. And I don't know how did I cut the thread? I must have used, I feel like I used nail clippers or something. I would have had to somehow cut the thread off the skein. This had happened so long ago, I don't remember. But what I do remember is that I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to trim that thread before this is framed. I said, you know what, when I get to the stitching post, I'm just going to ask them to borrow a pair of scissors. So I get there, I pick out the frame, and before she writes up the ticket, I said, can I borrow a pair of scissors? And I flipped it over to the back and I explained, and she's like, well, yeah. And she hands me a pair of scissors. Now, this is a needlework store. She hands me a pair of scissors like this. What? Okay, I did. I used them. My mind was just blown, though. Like, why wouldn't you have handed me a pair of needlework scissors? Because y'all stitching here. You're a needlework store, so I know you have needlework scissors. I was just, maybe I was thinking way too much about it, but isn't that, like, what? I don't know why that woman in the video was using scissors like that. Crazy. I should start wearing one of those, you know, DMC makes the pendant that has like the little cutter on it. Those are cool. I've never had one of those. Anyway, I'm rambling at this point, so I'm going to end here. I hope you guys are all having a good Monday. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.